It's January the 7th, 2020, and you know why you're here. So hey, let's kick this off right and introduce the players. I'm Gerissar, the PvP Padawan.
Hey guys, I'm Andallyn.
And I'm Windsted.
Well, welcome to the show, and everybody. So, hey, this is the first time we're here, Warcraft Radio. Thank you so much for hosting us. We're super glad to be coming to you live for the first time in our debut episode here. It's technically PvP. It's our first time on Warcraft Radio. Huge shout out first to all the folks, Athelis, Ketra, Pride, and everyone who's been possible making this happen. I'm sorry if we've messed up and left you out here. It doesn't make you any much or any less a part of that list, but we're super glad to bring you our first episode, and we've got some really cool guests today. So, Gerissar, help us introduce these fine gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so of course, 2020, brand new year. We of course had to come in with a big bang. So we got Absterge. So hey, Absterge, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good.
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. It's nice. I've never done one of these, so pretty excited.
Well, and we were talking a few times. I've been trying to get you over here onto this. I'm sure people know who you are, but just in case, do you want to give a quick rundown who you are?
Sure. My name is Carlos. I go by Absterge in game and just social media and everything. And I play and stream High Rated Arena and compete in arena tournaments as well. Mm-hmm. And I play for an org named as the Golden Guardians currently. So that's me. And I like koalas. Can't mention that. Gotta mention that.
Nice.
Yeah. A quick prayer out to the koalas and all the animals that are running away from their homes burning down.
Yeah.
Need to save Australia.
Indeed. All right. Ash, we also have you.
You do?
From one side of the world to the other, almost.
Yeah.
Across
the pond, as you say.
Yes.
Indeed. I'm not going to throw any rocks though, because I'm on the completely other side of Canada, so it's a bit farther away than across the pond. But why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you're doing these days?
Sure. So yeah, my name's Ash. I am the co-founder and owner of Diablos. I work on like the operations side of things, so picking up teams, managing teams, operating them, like social media, that kind of stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah, we started Diablos about 2 years ago now, so it's still kind of new. But traditionally, like I come from a military background and teaching, so I kind of try and impart that into what I do as well.
Cool. Wow. All right. And then we have Astoral. Hey, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody watching and listening?
Hello, I'm Astral. I'm a longtime RPG player, many seasons. Playing hero, a lot of classes too. Druid, DH, wide variety.
Nice. What's your favorite?
I think Boomy. That's what I've been playing right now. Very fun class to play.
Awesome.
Indeed.
The resident Boomy in the house. All right, guys.
Very good in RBGs right now.
Yeah.
They are. Good. Awesome. Well, so if anybody's wondering, like normally we only have one guest, maybe two if we're really lucky. Why we have three guests? Well, it being 2020, we thought we'd look back at 2019 and overview the PvP.
The state of PvP.
The state of PvP, yeah. And
the state of the World of Warcraft PvP. Address.
Yes, the state of the world address.
So yeah. Now I'm gonna skip. Normally we do like what we've been up to this last show, but I think we're gonna skip that because it's been about a month, and I don't think we really need to waste time on that. Let's get into our new segment, the Need, Greed, and Pass, and then we'll roll into why actually everybody's here after we do the events, and we'll actually talk about 2019. So, Need, Greed, and Pass. This is our new segment. We're debuting this episode, and this is where one of the hosts is going to pose a scenario with three different options. And us, the participants, are going to have to decide if they will, which one they'll need on, which one they would greed on, and which one they'll pass on. So let the hilarity commence as we decide on what we will need, greed, and pass.
All right, guys. So here we go. PvP vendors, Legion style stat templates, solo queue.
Oh boy.
Need, greed, pass.
That-
Ready, set, go. Andallyn.
Give us that list again.
PvP gear vendors,
Right.
Legion style stat templates, solo queue.
Okay. I'm gonna roll need on PvP the stat templates. I think that I really maybe it's a little bit of a recency bias, but I feel like I miss the Legion PvP aspect that we had where it wasn't so gear dependent. Right now it's so gear dependent on what you have. I just kind of logged on to I boosted an Unholy Death Knight because I was like, that sounds fun. Who wouldn't have fun playing an Unholy Death Knight right now? So I tried that, and it's just you need so much gear. I have to do so much in order just to kind of enjoy the class I just boosted as a PvPer. So I'm going to roll need on the stat templates. I'm going to greed on the PvP vendor just because Mists of Pandaria was as my favorite expansion, not lore wise, but gameplay wise and community wise and content wise. It was. And then I'm gonna pass on solo queue. I think it's really good it could be really good for the game, but just what you're lumping it in there with, it's just gonna have to get that bottom spot. So that's the right answer for me. So let's see.
Let's go ahead and turn it over to one of the pros then. Abs. PvP gear vendor, solo queue, Legion style stat template. Need, greed, pass.
I mean, that's an instant need on the vendors. That's something that I don't know.
Using a bonus roll.
Instant need on that.
Yeah.
The other two are kind of hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
The other two are very difficult because I wasn't much of a fan of the Legion stuff, but I wasn't much of a fan of stat templates, but I'm not a fan of how it is now more so.
Yep.
And I don't know how solo queue would work.
There's a lot of different ways it could too, so it's not like there's nothing
it's a very
straightforward.
nebulous.
I feel like there's many ways they could kind of execute that and implement that into the game. So I'm not sure. I'm probably gonna have the same pick actually. I'll need on the vendors.
That's the right answer.
I'll greed the stat template and pass on the solo queue.
Yeah.
Pass
Good
on the
answer.
solo queue. I'll stick to 2s and 3s. There
All
we
right,
go.
Gerissar. Need, greed,
Yeah.
pass.
Oh boy. Okay. This is hard. This one's hard for me as well. I'm gonna say, I think solo queue is the wrong answer. I think that it's an idea that needs to die. So I'm gonna pass on it.
Oh, an idea that needs to die.
Wait, are we allowed to be this honest? Can I say that?
Yeah, this is completely.
This is your chance.
I was making sure. I'm trying to stay politically correct.
Oh,
I didn't know if I
No,
could say some
no,
stuff
we
or-
are we delve into the technical
Okay.
aspects of everything. So,
Yeah.
in
All
order
right,
to
good.
do that, you have to be honest.
I like that. Okay.
Solo queue needs to die, according to Gerissar.
I could not have said it any better myself. Great job.
Man, that's one of
Yeah.
the things I constantly hear. Man, we need solo queue, and it's
No.
like,
Yeah.
It is the worst
Okay.
idea. It needs to die.
I was over here
Oh,
giving
okay. So
props to
pass on
Sturge,
solo queue.
and meanwhile he's holding his cards.
I am going to actually need on stat templates and
wow.
greed on vendor. But
That's the
I'm
right
only
answer.
going to but I'm going to need on stat templates with the caveat that the developers need to listen to the community and not just decide what they think the stat weights are supposed to be for the stat templates, because that was the worst thing they could have done during Legion. I felt that some classes completely got gimped because of how they decided the stat weighting should have been.
That does make sense. I forgot about that. They just picked out which stats you get. You didn't actually get to
Yeah.
decide
Nope.
your own.
Yeah.
I'm
So
working on a fix for PvP that would save all things. Maybe after the show, I'll ask you guys what you think about it. But we'll carry on with need, greed, pass. Okay.
Talk about a debate.
Let's go
Goodness
with
gracious.
abs.
you already did abs.
Oh, abs, Ash.
Let's do it.
There's a lot of A's going on, Andallyn Ash.
See, I've had
Yeah,
lots
no,
of
it's
on
not
this.
I deleted,
Yeah.
the wrong, I deleted the wrong name.
Today's show is brought to you by the letter A.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna need on a PvP vendor. I think being able to choose your own stats in the same way that having the stat weights in a stamp template would be very helpful. And then I'm gonna ninja roll or just ninja the stat templates because I can't play as much as I used to anymore, and in the current state of the game, I cannot get anywhere near the item level that I need to play arena like I used to. So being able to, like you said, if you're going to re-roll a new character and just jump into the game and have fun, a stat template would help that. Solo queue, I'm just going to disenchant again. It shouldn't be a thing. I don't know why people are asking for it.
Wow.
You get useless dust.
Yeah,
You get level 1 dust.
yeah, just I don't get it.
Yeah, that's
like,
good. That's a
Strange
swift
dust.
delete, swift disenchant. I like
Yeah,
that.
delete, vendor it, whatever. Like, just get rid of it.
Not
Like,
even
it
pass.
should
You're just gonna disenchant it. That's awesome.
The whole point of Warcraft is playing with other people and playing with your friends. Why would you want to solo queue? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my answer.
All right.
Love it.
And then Aster. Need, greed, pass. What do you say?
I would need on the templates. I really liked how they were in Legion because you could say go on an alt and just right away play. That was a really fun thing. Like now, especially with the PvE trinkets, the templates kind of gets rid of that. You don't see like tank trinkets and all that.
Yes.
I'd greed on the vendors because I like the mechanic of it, But I have to pass on the solo queue. I think it'd be a really interesting mechanic, but I don't know if they do it right. It's kind of hard to implement, especially with like a lot of people don't really agree with it too.
Yeah.
That really surprised me. I thought the PvP vendor would be the more popular thing of this particular need, greed, pass.
Someone
I didn't know how
so
solo queue would be received, but yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. Need on the Legion stat template, greed on gear, pass on solo queue.
Yep.
Wow,
That's good.
man, that surprised
That
me.
was decently unanimous,
I'm
even with 6
surprised
of us.
Yeah, I'm surprised that between gear and Legion stat template, that of the 6 of us, the Legion stat template won out 5-1. That's interesting to me.
I'm actually not surprised. I think the stat template was actually not a bad idea. And with how they're doing the PvP scaling and the hidden system that's behind the scenes now, along with the issues that we're having with PvE trinkets, I'm actually not surprised. I think stat templates is the better of the evils that we're facing right now compared to
and I'm just going to shoot it out here because you know what? I'm running the need, greed, pass, and we haven't moved on to the next segment. So my idea for the stat template is you add a reforging component, and your prestige levels are a point that you can put into your stat template wherever you want. And you can cap out at 10. So you get 10 points that you can reforge into any one of your stat templates. At the end of the season, they go away and you start from scratch again.
So you don't get extra stats. You just get to reforge it. You get to
you get extra stats. You get 10% more powerful.
Okay.
When you reach prestige 10, and you get to put those points into any stat that you want.
So it's not really a reforge. It's an increase in stat.
Yeah. And so you will be 10% more powerful than anybody else or that is a brand new to PvP. And then at the end of the season, everybody restarts at 0.
Yeah.
And you have to re-earn your prestige points for the next season.
Yeah. So
that's my fix.
So just looking here, Chuya in chat was wondering if he could get a refresher on what the stat templates were. Just as like a quick 20-second elevator speech.
Yeah, the quick little elevator speech of stat template was that each class received an automatic baseline stat template regardless of their gear. That you entered in at. Now, if you exceeded a certain item level, you got 1% increase to your stat template across the board for every 10 item levels that you had.
It was a slight bump, but it was minimal.
If you had 100 item levels more than your opponent, you were 10% more powerful than your opponent.
Yeah, it was. It started at 800. So any point above 800 or any 10 levels above 800. So like, I think the max level, the average, like the high end average level, at least for arena players, I think was like 960, 950 eye level. So if you came
And so
in,
you
like
were
you
around,
struggled a bit, but you could still definitely play the game.
At 15%, skill could win out. You know,
Yeah, you
if
can
you're
still play the
just a
game for
better
sure.
player than the
Yeah,
geared
you get
person,
to a
you can
fresh
win.
alt.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
why I kind of agree with
Yeah.
the whole lesser evils thing, because I wasn't really a fan of the like the stat template that much.
Well, and the
But
problem
I'd
with
rather
the
have
stat,
it now. I'd rather have it now than what's going on
the
now.
problem with the stat
Yeah.
template is there was no customizability. You know, you couldn't take ownership of it.
Yeah.
And that's
no.
where this reforging idea, this inputting your prestige points into your stats, you get to pick how
Yeah,
you
I think
play.
that's a big thing. I think they took away the part of like the MMO
Choice.
feel too with that.
Yeah, they took
which
away
was weird.
choice.
Yeah, that was
That's my pick.
strange.
Anyway, on to the next section.
You got me started. I told you. If I'm gonna be
I know,
honest,
this is great.
Here
I
we
can
go.
talk forever. I'll talk forever.
More than happy. But let's not talk about Legion. Let's roll into talking about what's coming up for PvP events, and then we'll talk about what happened in BFA 19. Well, all right. So into our upcoming PvP events. So I'll put in the links for Challenge and Resurgent. As far as I know, Challenge, there's still stuff popping up. I haven't really seen any advertisements other than I think the Duelers League is using Challenge on the background for their tracking of everything. But otherwise,
Like the CDL you're talking about?
yeah, I think I remember them using some of the.
Okay.
They're using Challenge for some of the
Gotcha.
things. I haven't seen anything recently on it though.
Okay.
Is there anything coming up over there at Resurgent?
Not as of yet.
Okay, well we'll keep an eye out on that. I've been seeing that Dalaran Gaming, he's been very active on doing his 5v5 1v1s. So again, keep an eye out for him on Twitter. He always posts out when he streams. Again, Flark, I think he stopped during the Christmas for doing his tournaments. We're hopefully see something soon from him. And speaking of the Duelers League, the finals, which were supposed to happen back in December, got delayed due to a few other issues, and they'll actually be starting
Christmas.
on the 11th. Yeah, basically.
Kind of should have seen that coming, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it hasn't been happening for the past 2,000 years, you know.
Yeah.
Indeed. So I don't know about you guys. I'm actually pretty excited to see how the rest of the Duelers League finishes, and I know from the tweet that was put out by Tips Out, because of the delay, they're able to actually bring in some new assets, which is going to be pretty awesome.
It is.
Yeah. So make it look even shinier than before. All right. That's that. Let's actually get into our subject of analysis and talk about why we're here.
All right. You will take it away there?
So
Why we're here? Sorry. Somebody tell me,
No one
please.
knows.
Old habits are dying hard? I don't
Sorry. I'm so used to having bumpers and I can't hear them, and because we changed how we do things right now. It's so weird.
Yeah.
All right. So into our subject analysis. So hey, it's year 2020, right? So hindsight being 2020, let's look back at 2019 and review, what was planned, what actually happened, and what maybe we could think could have been improved. Let's talk PvP. Let's talk about the esports, including some of the MDI stuff. We're going to talk, rated battlegrounds, rated arenas, and we're definitely going to lean on Asher for the view from the organizational side as to how that went for him as well.
Sure.
I do have to say that I do think that the hindsight's 2020 is going to get very old this year, really, really quick.
Dude, it was
And I
old
gotta
on
keep
like
saying it.
I'm just
New
laying
Year's
that out there,
Eve.
guys. I'm sorry. I know
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it up. It's a pun. It's my kryptonite. I can't resist.
Dad jokes for the win.
Yep.
All
I
right.
should have seen that coming.
But
in all
anyway,
honesty.
how was 2019 for you guys?
Yeah. Let's start with Ash. Overall, how did 2019 feel for you as an organization?
Okay, so we joined it quite late, obviously in the summer cups and obviously running up to the LAN. And WoW's always been something we really wanted to do, and being able to jump into it at that point was amazing. I think for us, like, it's been a massive boon, and it's grown Diablos like more than we could have imagined. Just in terms of like being recognized and that kind of thing, and that's amazing, and that's down to the viewership of the AWC. It's down to the players that we had as well. So yeah, it's been fantastic to be able to be a part of it, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship with Blizzard and getting all that stuff has been good. They've been very good, responsive,
You know what?
and
As a tournament organizer, they're one of the best that we've worked with.
oh wow,
By far, yeah.
Cool.
So we've worked with a couple of people, and I obviously won't go into names in this, but you know, when you're asking questions of a tournament organizer, you get instant responses and friendly responses, and they want to help you, and that's been quite refreshing, I'll say.
Yeah.
You know, D Machine, a couple of other guys that we regularly speak to, like in terms of the admins and stuff. Even in the run up to 2020 as well, like they've been very good at keeping us informed as much as they can, obviously, because I think a few things, or quite a lot's quite under wraps.
yeah.
Obviously, planning for this year as well, we kind of need to know where things stand. So they've communicated with us as much as they can, which keeps us happy.
Nice.
But obviously keeping the NDAs in check as well. So yeah, it's been it's been very good in that respect.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent. How about on the RBG side?
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting year.
How so?
A lot of meta shifting, especially with Seizing Shore, which everyone knows of. Really fun battleground.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's huge.
Am I sensing sarcasm, or is that just my bad hearing?
A little of both.
But yeah, I'll say Seizing Shore, it's been an interesting year in RBG so far. Well, last year.
Okay. Good to know. How about Absterge from the rated PvP ladder side? How did 2019 feel?
Ladder side?
Yeah.
It had its good points and its low points, but I don't know. It's still arena. It's definitely not my favorite, honestly. Not my favorite, like, meta and pacing of the game, but I still play it every day. I don't know. I still stream it. I still have a lot of fun for the most part. So some days were bad though. Like fighting tanks and stuff is brutal, but still arena.
Well,
at the end of the day.
what would you say are the three worst or three best things? Like three worst, three best. What three worst things that were happening on the ladder? Three best things that were happening on the ladder.
The three worst and three best of this year?
Bears.
Last year of 2019. Three. I gotta hold my hand up higher. The camera can't see it. Three.
Number 3, my lord.
I don't know. I think honestly, just I think the best things were when they finally decided to nerf defensive traits in arena. That was I swear that made me so happy. That made me smile so hard doing that, and then everything else. I can't really think of three. That's a lot. But I think them nerfing defensive traits was really good.
You got one worst and one best. The worst was the defensive trinkets. They got out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah,
we
I think
actually
that's
had
still
a
a thing.
on and we talked about it, and they were like, "Yeah, we had no idea that was going to happen, and we should have seen it." And
I think
that
the worst
terrible.
was trinkets and guardian druids are the worst for sure. The bears are taking over right now. It's very brutal. It's very brutal. Yeah. And then the best, I think, when they finally realized that mana. Oh, that was another one. I guess I have two. When they nerfed mana regen for healers, and then when they nerfed defensive traits, I thought that was good. Good by them to do that.
Now, do you spend most of your time in threes or twos?
When I play both. I stream twos a lot just because it's a lot easier to do. Just like play with viewers or something, or play with people in LFG and play twos, but. I definitely like playing threes a lot too, with just a lot of people from over the years, and then my team, of course. So definitely a mix. a mix.
Yeah, I can really imagine a Guardian Druids and 2s is probably really, really bad.
No,
Yeah.
people do that too. It's rough. It's very rough.
Cue in bad, poor taste Australia joke. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's been rough.
All right. How about we, rather than talking just live ladder, then I just want to do a little quick review. Then, how did the pro circuit feel for 2019?
Just the whole year. I mean, I thought it was another good year of production and everything, and WoW Esports in general. I think specifically for my team, obviously, it was not the best year. You know, ups and downs, losing every tournament, very bad. But overall, I think WoW Esports. I really think if they put in more effort and show that they care, I think it can do really well. Which I think is slowly happening. Aside from the BlizzCon prize pool, but we're not going to talk about that too much.
Are we not going to talk about that? I thought that was probably one of the highlights.
Yeah, we probably should. No, but aside from that, I think them showing just so they care more is a really big deal, because I think WoW can definitely grow and has a lot of potential and still does. But it's just about effort and how much they want to kind of promote the scene as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I was really sad about that whole prize pool thing, because it was the fans saying, "Hey, we want to support our pro players."
Yeah, it was definitely something that was,
you know,
every single player that I can think of has been asking for that for years. Of like, hey, let's just do crowdfunding.
Yeah,
you don't have to do anything else. Just do crowdfunding. Just put in a tabard or a pet or something. Because I'll buy that stuff instantly.
Yeah,
but,
no, I chipped in a little bit to, I think I got the fireworks.
I bought them both.
Yeah,
I mean, we did a few giveaways for multiple versions of the esports.
Yeah, no, because I want PvP to succeed. I want and I mean, I watch you guys. I learn from you guys. I want to support it so I can continue to enjoy my game, because I don't have the time. Guys, earlier you saw my wife slip in here, and I had to give her a kiss before I could send her away and enjoy my time with the guys. But
of course.
But I don't have time to go through all the nitty gritty finer points of each class and to master each attribute. And you guys, the pro players and the teams, they just are able to shortcut that for me, so I know, okay, that's what I can do to make sure that I'm playing the best that I can play. And that, it's a huge help for the, what would you call it? The average, or the, oh gosh, I could be so funny right now, but I can't remember. Casual. For the casual player.
The casual
Filthy
gamer.
casuals.
Yeah, I'm the casual gamer. I only spend like 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week on WoW and other games, but yeah, no. So I was very disappointed that Blizzard kind of pulled that shenanigan.
Yeah.
Well, it was a matter of wording, right? And I know we spoke with Spiky Nick there last little while, and I think he put it across a really good way of how they were clear on it being a guaranteed minimum, and then I guess the thing was that being new to us as viewers and supporters of the AWC, I think there created a bit of an expectation there, which caused a bit of a backlash. Quick question, Astoral, did you buy the toys for the WoW Esports?
I don't think I did, actually.
Okay. Well, one good point is I think they're actually still on the store, so you can buy them now if you want. I don't know where the money's going, but you can do that.
Hopefully to next year's championship for the players.
They were actually on half price for the winter sale there too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think there was just about enough ambiguity in the formatting of what was written for us to believe that it would be put towards bigger price.
Yeah, and I hope that was unintentional.
I think it was. And
there's probably some legal guy that was sitting there going, okay, I just read it this way so everybody knows, blah 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 blah. And I mean, we don't speak legalese. I'm not. I'm an electrician and a gamer.
Because what they did is they just said, like, we want to take the price pool to the next level. That's all they really said, which just means increase, right? If it increases $1, technically that's an increase. But I mean, obviously they want it to increase more than that. But they said we're gonna guarantee what last year's was, right abouts, and then whatever like. So essentially, that's saying we're going to take it to the next level.
I see how hard you're fishing for words to explain it. I see how hard you're fishing for the words to kind of explain it, and that's where the utter failure of communication and clarity, I think, is where I fall on it. Having read the document, I was like, you could definitely read into that every dollar that we spend in will go to the players, and that's not what they intended. And I hope that wasn't intentional.
Yes, but the English language
trying to be clear and fail
just a little bit more
rather
clarification was what was needed.
Yes,
unfortunately, didn't get that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like the language and PR are two separate things, though.
Yeah,
because what they say and how they handle it are two completely different things. So, but I agree with you for the for the most part.
Yeah.
So I actually did some scratching on this. So from what I can tell, if I have this right, for 2019, they did a total prize pool of around $440,000 US for the NA and EU Cups and the regionals. Latin America got around 46,000. APAC got around 56,000. So that's Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and Taiwan. And China got around 46,000. And that, if I have this right, that's definitely an increase over what they did for 2018. And then, of course, the BlizzCon final prize pool was above. I think it was a $30-something thousand increase over 2018. And if you consider the fact that was solely from crowdfunding, that's amazing. I think that's the silver lining to that. That's really amazing that the people that love the game and love the esports kind of really supported that. The poopy part of it is obviously it could have been way more if Blizzard Activision didn't siphon off 75% of the money for their own pocket, and also didn't pull away their guaranteed funding that they had put aside for it. And I think that's the part that really, when you look at it from a company that has produced more record earnings year after year while firing people and then pulls that stuff in the same year, I think that's what really pisses off us as fans.
Yeah, it was really, really poorly executed.
I think the question is as well, if they ever try to do it again, for example, this year, they bring out a new toy, a new thing that crowdfunds LWC, MDI, fans, players actually going to do it again? Are they actually going to put the money into it again?
I'm not sure if people will do that. I think people that play the game and aren't focused on that will do it, because I mean it's just more cosmetic items that people want. But I don't know if the actual player base or the players and the spectators of the game will actually contribute to that. It's kind of like sketchy at that point.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of reluctancy. Absolutely, even if they do,
I'm going to be reading the fine print. I'm going to be reading the fine print on the next one. And I mean, Blizzard has filled me with joy and entertainment for years now, and I play this game with my wife. It's a great time that I have in my time to relax and de-stress from the day, and I don't want to be going, oh, how are they trying to screw me now?
Yeah, I think that's why. I think that's the bigger issue, is what Ash said is the bigger issue. Like, what they did was kind of messed up if it was intentional, and the wording was definitely bad, and they could have elaborated more on what they really want to do. But I think what Ash said is more important, is the fact that it's like, oh, if they do it again, how's that going to turn out? Are they going to do it again is another big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it definitely showed. I mean, because if Blizzard had said, hey, we're going to still chip in half as much as we said, I think the community would have been much more receptive.
Yeah.
If they said, hey, we said the baseline was this, you guys have reached that and exceeded, cool, we're going to take half of that money and put that in our pockets, and the other half we're just going to dish out. I mean, if they would have just given something,
I mean, the other side of it is if they could have turned around and said we're investing the rest of it into WoW Esports for next year, and people have been pretty happy with that, right?
Yeah,
right.
I think the issue is they use the same because Dota and some other esports had used the same 25% of earnings to prize pool. But if you think about it, those are free to play. They make money off of selling stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a subscription-based game like World of Warcraft either.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I think overall, I think you guys are right. The corporate will do what corporate does, and if they decide to do this again, which I wouldn't be surprised they don't, because they were able to create a fairly large prize pool.
Yeah.
With
they garnered huge success. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think if they went at least 50, if they took like 50% of the earnings and put it towards prize pool, I could definitely see people then still being willing, even though they're a little shy from what happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
If they did that this year, I think that'd be better. If they try to pull exactly the same thing, I would definitely see the prize pool being smaller, just because once bitten, twice shy, right?
Yeah, it's very much a PR thing, and it's in their hands. The ball is in their court. I feel like how it goes and whether or not people come out and support it in the same numbers that they did before, and whether or not streamers are going to try and encourage people on their own streams, their own viewers, to support it, because they're not gonna encourage their viewers to do something that could be that they're not going to support themselves. So it's all going to be about how they handle it. If they come out and apologize and play this off well, which they're totally capable of doing, and they like convince the populace that like we've course corrected from this, that was a mistake, and they prove that to us, this can go well. It's nothing. This is not an all is lost thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we just see more clarification.
Yeah, absolutely.
Explain straightforward what they want to do, and there you go. It's done.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think they did it again next year. That I don't think anyone that really bought it last year would buy the new one, just because of that lack of trust now with how they handled it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be reading the fine print. I want to support the players, but I don't want to get screwed over for doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of people that bought it just wanted to, support the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing that really surprised me in something that Blizzard did do to help support the players was the broadcasting of all the other countries' stuff in English.
Oh yeah, there was like 8 different streams in different languages.
I mean they
honesty,
really
though,
are seeming to go for it. Andallyn, what?
That was, none of that was paid.
Oh really?
No. No. So they.
But it definitely
just
seems like
saw that. Yeah.
It's classically been between U.S. and EU, and I tip my hat to the EU. You guys are usually on top when it comes to the best performing players in PvP. But the other, China, the Latin America group, they are starting to perform. They're starting to get some players that are really able to start engaging and compete on that higher level of the U.S. and the EU. And that was fun to see this year, to see these other countries starting to step in and really starting to pose a threat.
I think so too. I think even last year was like that. Last year, 2018 BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Like one of the Chinese teams, Pen and Paper. Yeah, they were insane.
Yeah,
they were really good. The other one was good too, but that team specifically was definitely on par. And they got third too, which I think was one of the highest placing like Chinese teams have ever gotten at BlizzCon.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
pretty ridiculous.
So now, did you have any interactions with the other organizations, and how does that play? How did that go last year?
Ash,
sorry,
say again.
I was just commenting on how as an organizational leader, how is it interacting with the other organizations in these tournaments? How did that go last year? Is it pretty out for blood between y'all, or?
No, again, because it was our first sort of gig in the AWC. Like, we try to be quite friendly with people. I think obviously the main sort of competitor we've had throughout the Summer Cup was method in the EU. The guys were consistently batting heads with them in the finals, nearer to the end of the final cups and then at the LAN. I think next year, like hopefully, if more orgs are coming into it, like there should be a bit more of a narrative and a bit more banter between them. If you get the term banter, that's a really British saying. But yeah, like people should be riffing off each other, and there should be storylines about the players, and because that's what's interesting to the fans as well as them being able to play really well, at World of Warcraft as well.
So in public, you guys are at each other's throats, but in private, you're like, hey, that was well played, method, well played.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm sure Carl Absterge would say the same. Like, everyone kind of knows each other, and that's what I've seemed to have found with the players. Like, they all actually get along quite well. There's like a little community of like the top rated players where everyone, they're all in a Discord together, or they all play together in 3v3, whatever. I don't think there's like massive bad blood, and that's what's quite nice about the WoW community as well. Compared to others, is that everyone is quite friendly as well, which is different for us, but good.
Yeah, I think people are just not used to. People just need to remember, like, it's okay to be competitive, and like if you want to trash talk, I mean, I don't really trash talk. I don't think, like, some people do, some people don't, and like be specific and tell people certain things specifically. But it's good to be competitive and have that sort of banter, as you said, and it makes things more exciting, which I don't think people realize is really important to have, like, either a big social media personality or just have this huge narrative with your team. It's super important for the scene.
Yeah.
So people just need to be more themselves, I think.
Like the Sea-Doo narrative last year.
Yeah.
You couldn't have beat it. It was a producer's dream. Yeah.
The Jamili versus Sea-Doo, that
last year
amazing.
too. Yeah, that was great as well.
That was Jaw versus Sea-Doo, and then what was it for my team? It was like, the move versus method, rival.
It was the Waz and Peekaboo. That's what it was.
The Waz and Pika all year.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. That's what we need, though. I think that's really important to have.
It is.
It just makes things more exciting. Even if it's not as true, like, it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah. It's like it's not quite putting it to the point of wrestling where it's obviously fake, but it's entertainment. But
wait,
there are. Go on.
Don't you dare call my wrestling fake.
Okay.
I just.
You mean wrestling? Yeah.
Absterge. You need to be. I need this for 2020 when you guys do the next, like, when you have to do prayer profiles and do the interviews and stuff like that. I want one of you guys to pull out like the Randy Savage or something like that.
Good.
Oh yeah.
I'll do it. Don't worry. I'll do some Ric Flair or something.
Exactly.
Peek would be well up for that. Yeah.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
Another high point of last year was something that I think a lot of us on the casual side have been calling for is RBG tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, Astral, did you participate in any of those tournaments, or?
I actually haven't. I always wanted to, but looking at the rosters for them, a lot of people don't really compete like the top teams. There'll be like one or two. They usually just stack their teams. I would like to see more RBG tournaments and esports, especially on like Blizzard side. On Blizzard side, just doesn't exist. Closest thing we got was at one BlizzCon they did a BG versus each other, like the arena players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was forever ago. That was 2015.
14?
I remember that one.
Yeah. Was it 14 or 15? Yeah.
2015.
Okay.
They did a 6v6 like NAEU thing.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was Healing Style playing in that one? Yeah.
Yeah, that was who were the teams that year? I think it was my team, Jaw's team, so Tempo Storm, and then oh my god, I can't remember the other NA team. Oh, Cubsy's team. Cubsy and Wealthy Man were there too, and then Healing Stat was there. Yeah. So they all did like a giant 6v6 NAEU thing. The rivalry, of course. Yeah, gotta get that.
Cool. Trying to play up that rivalry again.
Always gotta do that.
Match.
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand. I don't really. I can't really talk too much about MDI. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but I do want to point out that did happen. The they changed it from the Mythic Dungeon Invitational to the Mythic Dungeon International, and they definitely went worldwide with the hemispheres, and it was NA and EU grouped together versus the Eastern Hemisphere of APAC, China, and all that. Quickly, do you guys have any comments about how the MDI went? Or the Mythic Plus dungeons with all the timed runs over on the TR, people that, basically competing against their own times and against each other to then bring that to the big stage in tournaments. What did you guys think about that? Anybody?
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask someone specifically. I don't know. I'm not into dungeons, but I mean, I like watching competitive play in any game and format. So I still watch MDI every now and then. I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's cool that people that actually do that and are just pretty ridiculous at that can have their moment. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and it's another one of those things where it's like you can watch it and it will help you in your gameplay.
Yeah.
Well,
you see the way
people
people do. Routes are insane.
Yeah.
People do whole dungeons, like even last night, like some of my friends that play like do high keys and stuff, and it's like 4 a.m. It's like, hey, can I get a key done on my monk? I don't have any gear. Like, yeah, sure, let's do a 10, and we do it in like 10 minutes. It's like, all right, well, that's nice.
Should we do another one? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, no work for me. No work for me. I don't have to do anything. It's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah.
I need to find friends like that.
Nice. I think it's nice. That's why it's the same with RPGs, like we said a few minutes ago. I don't know. Like, even though I love Arena and obviously I play that, like I think it's cool that to actually broadcast and kind of popularize the other aspects of competing, like MDI and RPGs and stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it makes sense because it definitely brings in that other side of the player base that doesn't PvP. They know PvE, they understand it, and watching that, is entertaining for them because they can relate to the dungeon, they can relate to some of the affixes, and at the same time be impressed by the gameplay.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Yeah, the finals games are always interesting for me when you look at like the some of these guys they've worked so hard, and it's like they've somehow they're still in it, because maybe the other team messed up or the other team kind of fell short, or something slipped, and I really like how there's a lot of energy behind that, and there's so many people. Like, if you looked at just the crowds that were there as well, I was kind of taken aback and was really surprised. Like, wow, I didn't realize that there was so much energy behind MDI, but there really is. And that's not a testament to MDI. That's just a testament to my lack of knowledge of MDI. But if anything, what I do hope is that we could see more team participation in the way of sponsors for MDI, because I think that there's a lot of potential there. But it's so tough because you're looking at bringing on 5, 6, 7 guys vice 4, so I'd love to see if Blizzard could help bridge the gap between that, because I think that would also be incredibly healthy for the scene.
Yeah, like from our perspective, we are looking at MDI this year.
Yeah,
don't blame you.
And primarily, business head on, the viewership does exceed the AWC. A lot more people watch MDI than they do watch Arena. Again, like you just said, it's an accessible thing for the other side of WoW, the PvE side of WoW, for people to get into. Essentially, it's games done quick for WoW, right? And games done quick does really well on Switch, and the AWC MDI does as well.
Kind of bringing us. Oh, go ahead, finish.
Sorry, no, just in terms of like what you said, like bringing in 5+ players, that's where the difficulty lies in terms of what you're going to pay of every single one of them. From our point of view, that is.
I have one question.
Go for it.
Yes.
Understanding that this is a bit stacked, and Astral, I'm like, you don't do any mythics, you didn't pay much attention to that, right?
I do them like for my weekly 10. Outside of that, not really.
Okay. Okay. So I guess this is kind of a stacked room, but if you guys had a choice between, if you could talk to Blizzard, and you could say Mythic Plus or RBGs, which one would you rather watch?
I'd rather watch RBGs.
Okay.
There's a lot
Absterge?
of strategy that goes into that.
If I could pick,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like all three should have their moment. It's kind of hard to pick.
Okay.
Maybe RBGs just because I like PvP more. I mean,
That's
I
the
don't
stack.
dislike RBGs, but you're making me choose. I don't want to look like a bad guy. I don't know.
You already
Probably
look like
RBGs, though.
You already look like a bad guy after fluffing on the solo queue, so it's okay.
That's
All right.
very true. That's very true. So
Andy, Andallyn, which one would you choose?
I'd rather take the RBGs. I mean,
Okay.
and again, that's not a shot to MDI by any means, but I think that the aspect that you could, just like what Absterge was saying, how if you can have a scene for rated battleground styled content, in a scene for Mythic Dungeon content, in a scene for arena content, that's really good for World of Warcraft, I feel like. And everyone who's a part of the game, it seems like people are so much more just like becoming parts of or fans of a part of the game rather than the game as a whole. So I think it'd be good for the game itself, not just the scenes or the individual scenes, and then they all feed back into each other quite well. So, but personally, I would choose RPG content.
Okay.
I
Ash?
find the MDI to be quite similar to NASCAR, and if you're a longtime listener of the show, I think I've made this reference before. Is
Oh
that
God.
just how effectively can you turn left? And MDI is just a gorgeous display of how effectively they can do the dance of the dungeon. But it's not like the dungeon is suddenly going to gain a mind of its own and decide, hey, I don't want you to do that next move that you have practiced 1,000 times. So I'm going to counter you deliberately and effectively. It just doesn't happen in MDI. Where in RBGs, when the opponent sees, oh, this is what the team is trying to do. They're trying to push, a three cap in Eye of the Storm rather than run flag. So we're going to go ahead and break out. We're going to run flag more efficiently, and we're going to try and push against those buildings so that we maintain control of the flag so that we can win. You don't have that kind of counterplay in the MDI.
It's more nuanced.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's that how effectively you turned left.
Ash? Which would you-
RPGs. RPGs every day of the week, but for exactly the same reason. Like to watch a group of players communicate and play and counterplay and all that. That's much more exciting to watch than killing pixels, essentially, like over and over again.
Wow.
Let's be honest, it's all killing pixels no matter what.
It is, yeah, and like I said, like we're looking at MDI, and there is a place for it, and there should be a place for it.
Oh yeah.
But for me personally, as a viewer, as a spectator of WoW, as an esport, like PvP, whether it's threes or RPGs, would be pretty much what all I'd watch.
You can tell we're all PvPers at heart by everyone's
Yeah.
answer. Nobody wants the dungeons apparently.
No.
Now bringing the MDI back around though, because the gearing process this past year I have not been a great fan of.
Mhm.
And I cannot just do PvP and then be able to compete against somebody who is consistently doing their mythic dungeons for the week.
Yeah, I think that's why the whole need greed pass earlier was kind of difficult with the stat template.
Yeah.
Because that's really frustrating. The gearing system of this expansion is pretty frustrating. Just having to every Tuesday, every person in the game that's trying to compete at high rating is doing their Crucible, doing their, what is the other raid called? Eternal Palace. They're doing Battle of Gerissar Lord to maybe get a Titan Forge trinket or something, hoping for the best. Then they're spamming keys all day.
Yeah.
And then they finally queue arena. It's like, it's pretty brutal, especially when you have more characters, which I think is the brutal part of it.
And that's brutal. That's brutal for just having one character, and then if you're trying to ult too, like that's a lot of grind.
That's how I was last night. I was like 4 a.m, and it's like I got my one key done on Monk, and I'm like, I should definitely do my other 6 characters.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I had that moment where I paused. And I'm like, No way.
If you're anything like me, what would happen is you'd be like, you would get all the good gear on the alt that you never really intended to play competitively, but you would just get all of the wasted, like, oh sweet, I Titan forged another thing of bracers, which is my highest item level anyway, with no good stats on my main or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh sweet, yeah.
I will say I would prefer RBGs right now, just because at least some of the team settings are different versus the MDI, and I get it was partially it's because each team was running what the most effective way to run a dungeon, but everybody was running almost exactly the same comps. And also that
was probably my biggest dislike of that. I can agree with you on that for sure. Because I actually enjoyed it, but after watching, 3 or 4 matches where every team is playing Resto Druid double Rogue Warrior, it's like, I just don't want to watch this anymore.
So part of that was they actually changed one of the rules is a team could only change out one player between maps.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that they lifted that restriction towards the end, and then we did see a couple different changes where all of a sudden you would see like 2 players change out. But
subs. Cool.
Yeah, sub in, sub out, which is great. But I feel like if that restriction was maybe lifted, we would see definitely we may see some different comps, but at the same time, if you consider that everybody's just trying to do something the most efficiently way possible for the fastest time.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's gonna, that's like everybody running Rogue Mage Druid.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just metas. And
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The meta is just Prot Warrior Druid, or I don't know if it still is, but that when I would watch during the year, like Prot Warrior Druid, double Rogue, and then random 3rd DPS so you can get.
Well, I heard sometimes they're running triple Rogue now.
I didn't know that. There you go.
Triple
Rogue.
Oh gosh.
Mind you, that's on the competition side. When I've heard on the actual ladder side, they're running. You see prop pallies and you see other compositions. So, all right, let's switch over. Let's get away from talking about the AWC and that, and let's talk about actually the live game ladder and the actual rated PvP side. Astral, we haven't heard much of you, so I'm gonna pick on you now. On the RBG side, you said that there was some meta stuff that happened during 2019. What overall was RBGs like for you, and what did you think of even like some of the new allies races and what they brought for different racials and stuff like that?
For the meta, before in like say Legion, it was all objective based. You could go into LFG, get random healers like Holy Priests. None of your team would die. Everything would be, it'd be like playing chess kind of. You're playing for the objective, trying to take nodes.
Yep.
Now in BFA, it's really just team fight. You go into the team fight, you lose the team fight, you're kind of screwed for most of the maps.
Really?
Yeah. That's one of the big meta shifts that happened with BFA.
Is that partially because of the gearing was different? Like obviously it's not stat template, but now it's like the gear mattered as much. Was that bringing, and the Heart of Azeroth, was that bringing more power, that the team fight was that important?
I don't think so. It was more of like how they redesigned healers. Because before with Holy Priest, they would just renew, press like flash heal, just spam it. You could be pretty new to the game actually. It's like a Holy Priest, and you could keep your whole team alive fairly easy versus a really good team in Legion. And now if you have 3 really amazing healers, it could be multi-rank 1 and stuff. They're still going to struggle, and you'll probably die over time. But like say back then, you could go into Eye of the Storm. It would come down. It would be like a 20-minute match. No one gets the flag. If you want to win, you have to get a node. Outside of that, it would just spin. You'd either tie or you'd win by like 1 tick because someone speed capped a node.
Wow, that'd be frustrating to lose by 1 tick just because somebody capped like a split second before you did.
Yeah. It would go like tanks, a quick cap.
Okay. So I noticed during, and from what I saw from the GCD RBG tournaments that they hosted, everybody was running around with Kulturin just for the knockbacks.
The Kotori knock is really, really good.
Okay.
Almost every map, really, it's just so great. You can just FC maps, knock them, say the roof, knock them off on like Twin Peaks. 8B is amazing. EOS, there's just so much use to it. Really, really strong ratio for Alliance. Not a lot of people play Alliance. Like there was one team before early BFA that I think almost every single one of them went Kulturin.
Mm-hmm.
You got like a AB versus him. It was a nightmare.
How have demon hunters been affecting the past year?
They mostly affect like deep win now. Before you always have two of them, because you do objective play, you know. Now it's like the team fight meta. They invite like one demon hunter for deep win to go tank to run fast. Outside of that, you don't really have that much use for demon hunter. A lot of like the really good demon hunters in RBG stopped playing or they quit the game, or they went to like arena because they're pretty good in arena demon hunters at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen them, and I've heard a lot of people complain about demon hunters in arena. They're pretty powerful.
They're pretty good. They're pretty
They're a
good.
strong class. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can. They have a spell that just makes it so you go Pretty good.
Yeah.
Mana Rift is very, very strong. Very, very strong. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what are
All
some
right.
standout moments for you guys for the past year? Things that really made you love playing the game.
Standout moments. I don't know. I think, for me at least, I think having we had a really rough year as a team competing, and then ended up winning the last Cup of Summer, which we didn't make the land still, but winning that cup just kind of, I don't know, kind of just reminded me of why I like competing. So I think that'd probably be, I guess, the highlighter, something that stood out for sure for the year. Just kind of reminded me of like why I like competing and why I like arena, was that final cup of the summer for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gerissar, any standout moments for you?
The biggest standout moment for me was back in, I think it was January, when the raid opened up and tank trinkets made their way into tournament realm, and I think it was the second, maybe it was in February or March, but it was the second cup for NAEU, and every game was going to max length, and we started seeing the most ridiculous dampening games in history.
What was the record? Was it like 74?
It was
No, it was
something like
worse.
that.
I think
Or 80?
it was like 85, 89 or something.
Oh
I'm
my
pretty sure.
goodness.
No, this was a standout moment for you in a good way.
No, it was a standout moment because, in a good way, because it also resulted in Blizzard removing all PvE trinkets from the arena tournament realm, which really highlighted exactly how broken and screwed up that whole system is in live, and shows the disparity that that really, I mean, it points out where the tournament realm had it right. But yeah, that's why to me it was a good thing.
Yeah, they did a lot of changes after that with mana and stuff.
They did.
Very important that happened.
Yeah, I think it definitely shifted the meta early in the year, which was in another way also good because with the changes that they put in and the hot fixes, it stabilized the pro circuit meta at least, which made for as a viewer some really interesting games to watch throughout the year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's that.
Ash, how about yourself? Great standout moment for you for this past year.
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is our team making it to the Summerland, especially being so new to the scene as well, to pick up the guys that were capable of doing that was pretty amazing from the business/club standpoint. In terms of like WoW itself and playing it, I think the raids have been fantastic. And so like just the PvE in general on that side of things. I'm not a massive PvEer, but I do enjoy the lore and the story. Like that has been good in BFA, to be fair. Negative sides, I think, like you said, like it's, we talked about it earlier, the whole prize pool thing. I think that's probably been the biggest negative standout. But generally, for us and Diablos, it's been very good. Being a part of Warcraft Esports, definitely.
Andallyn, any standout moments for you?
Sure. So, I think one of the standout moments for us was kind of in a similar vein with Ash here. It was really cool when we, as Resurgent, had hosted a team, and kind of watching them kind of go live the first time in their with Zach and Valito and Nicolo, the gang in Majorden. But it was cool, and it was great watching them play. And that was definitely absolutely a huge standout moment for myself and maybe a couple others. But I also was really impressed, and I really think that they did it, like the production staff over at Blizzard and whoever's helping out with that. They did a really good job enhancing the actual spectator interface that we see right now, with adding on the kicks, adding on maybe towards the bottom where you can see the more specific kind of player frame, where you can see what abilities they're using in what order. So I think Starship and the gang did a really good job at giving that a lot more value and giving that a lot more just making it more immersive. So that was a standout moment for me. That kind of stuff I feel like is really good because one of the biggest problems with WoW esports, especially Arena, is the fast-paced barriers to entry that it is on the viewer's side of the fence, because it's very tough to follow unless you have a very skilled commentator to be able to break things down for you as they're happening, which can be very difficult. So.
I feel like I kind of let everyone down. I didn't pick that one as my standout. Damn, I messed up. That's a really good one, yeah. Wow, I'm actually so glad you brought that up. Oh my goodness.
Astral, any standout moments for you?
The start of the year looked really, really promising. In RBGs, it was, I think, the second top participation in RBG season in like RBG history almost. It was probably twice triple the usual amount. It looked really, really good. I thought 2019 was going to be an amazing year to RBG. It went down a lot over time, but it looked very promising.
Yeah, and for me, I think the most standout thing for me, and this is going to be really weird to bring up here because we've been talking a lot about BFA, but I took a big hiatus during BFA. It really bummed me out with a lot of the changes they had made. And it was actually Classic that brought me back to BFA. Strangely enough. The release of Classic this past year has been a huge boon to me in playing the game, in that and hopefully Blizzard takes note of what's happening in Classic, that they don't need to hold our hand. We're players. We will figure things out. We can do amazing things if you just kind of step aside and let us play the game. Because that's really what Classic let us do. And I've been hearing a lot from the upcoming changes that are going into Shadowlands and things like that they're talking about. And I really hope that they take note. But it was through Classic that, once I'm getting into the higher levels on Classic, I went, I wonder how BFA is doing. And having come back to BFA after, I was gone for 6 months, guys. I think I was hiatus for. Coming back to BFA, I'm enjoying the game again. It's not Classic. It's definitely something different. But there are definitely things that are going on that in both sides, Classic and Live, that can definitely bring a person to enjoyment in the game and what's going on. So I think that was the big highlight for me, was the coming back of Classic and being able to kind of relive those things and kind of gain a new love for what's happening in BFA.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good
Because
perspective.
I'll admit, BFA has been rough. I think. Okay, I was worried that I'd be stepping on some toes by saying, I don't think BFA is going down in history as the greatest expansion ever.
No.
But
I feel the same way about you about Classic.
say
Played
again.
Classic for like a month or so, and then it kind of just made me love the game more, like BFA more. Not love BFA more, but I definitely
And that's
just
a good
have, like
thing.
you said, a different
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah, of like, oh,
Yeah.
BFA is not actually that bad, and then I play it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, and I mean they're good in different ways. In Classic, I tend to find myself just like, what do I feel like doing right now? You know what? My engineering isn't capped yet. I'm not max level. I'm going to go work on my engineering, and I'm going to go find resources, I definitely don't have time to do that and then be able to compete, high end on anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been fun to be like, you know what? That was enjoyable. That was relaxing. Now let's go be intense, and let's go, back into arena and back into RBGs, and let's dive in there and, we're a PG rated show, so I'll refrain from saying what I was gonna say, but dive in deep, get the game going, enjoy it.
Winstead, what did I tell you about Goldshire?
Sorry.
I think that there's a lot to learn from Classic in modern WoW, and I mean, I remember playing it way back when we classed it as vanilla, and I can't play Classic now. Like I just don't have the time or energy to play that game.
Same.
But
Mm-hmm.
I think they can learn a lot from the gearing process that it used to have in that iteration. Like, we touched upon it earlier with, is it going to Titanforge? Is it going to Warforge? Is it going to get a socket for each gem? And in 8.3, corruption's going to be probably worse in terms of RNG. In Classic, you go to an instance, you know what gear is in there. The only thing you've got to worry about is if it drops or not whether it's going to be a better version of what can drop.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the articles and interviews that we've seen about Shadowlands, I'm hoping that they're going to aim towards that kind of gearing again.
Well, and one thing that strangely enough, one thing that I would like to see happen is the progressive gearing. Hey, in order to raid, you need to be able to complete the dungeons. That's where you get your gear in order to raid. And then if you want to go to the next raid tier, you need to farm the first raid tier. You've got to have been able to farm out that gear so that the next raid tier you go into that. And then the third raid tier, if you haven't completed the first two, then you might not be geared enough in order to go in and really, unless you got lots of friends. I mean, I and that's it's probably going to be very controversial of me saying that, but I enjoy the progressive gearing. It forces you to play the game. It forces you to play through the content. But nowadays I jump in, and I haven't played for the past 6 months. I went and did Pearl farms. I farmed up Pearl gear.
Yeah. The benthic stuff.
Benthic stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I farmed up benthic stuff, and now I can go raid. I don't have to see the Battle of Zandalar. I don't have to go to that raid. I never stepped foot in it, but yet I can now go to, Queen Ashara.
Counterpoint that though, and the reason why they made that change is if somebody joined the expansion right now, they would struggle to get the ability to even get to the current raid before the end of the expansion, between leveling a tune, gearing it, going through all the different levels just to get to the end content for an expansion.
I said it would be controversial, my thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that has been already directly addressed in Shadowlands, which hopefully should give us hope for the future. I definitely
think Classic is going to have a huge influence on the next expansion, probably more so than BFA.
Okay.
I think so too. I think you can definitely get good points from Classic.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. I don't think going all the way back to Classic gearing is the answer.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I think there's definitely there has to be a good blend. The one thing I do like about Classic gearing is just the fact that the way gear feels now is really weird. It feels like once the new patch hits, all your gear is just useless from then on, which I don't really like that much. I think if it was kind of in between, it'd be better. But personally, I don't like that. Like, I like how classic you can get. You have pieces
There
of
was
gear
a best
classic
item.
that are just your best item the entire time, which I think is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Compared to now, where it's like if you have a piece of gear from the first raid old year, your eye level is 370. Compared to like next patch, it's gonna be 480, 470.
Yep.
Huge jump in
Yeah.
gear.
Something that's always been big for me, if I can take a last topic here and stretch it a little bit more. Something that's always been big for me and that I see as being a huge proponent in all of this is the fact that in Classic, you went through a raid tier. Like what you did to say I want to raid is you found the top tier raiding guilds, and you joined those. You figured out, you did what you had to do, and you worked yourself as an initiate, and then you kind of had to work up through that. There was a guild progress in a lot of ways for you to be able to like say I can get gear, and guilds would come up with their own systems on how they would award gear, right? In retail and in BFA,
minus 10 DKP.
yeah, right. In retail and BFA, your best chance at clearing raid content is not joining a guild. Is not, just staying away from guilds. Your best chance is to, I mean, that's not true for everyone, but for 95% of cases, it is. Your best chance of clearing raid content is going to LFG, and if they wipe on the first pull, leaving, and then going to the next group. That's your best chance. If you're talking about it from a pure, just, I'm trying to get gear, how do I get there in the easiest way, you know? And I think it's really important that if WoW is to succeed, what they need to do is they need to be able to draw back to that central unit of guilds. Because if you don't have people playing together, the game becomes empty, stale, and it's just not it's not what you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's an MMORPG.
Yeah, because I was just going to say that what's the point of MMO
Yeah.
if it's not multiplayer? If you're just going to play it on your own, just go play
Exactly.
a single player.
Yeah.
That's why we all decline solo queue.
Precisely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bringing it all around. Any other last reflections, I guess, on the past year before we move on?
I can add a little bit about Classic. I really like how they have the PvP gear on Classic. In Veto now, you have to, go PvE, do mythics, all that. In Classic, if you really wanted to, you can just hit 60, grind out PvP, get the blue gear, get the epic gear, and just be set for the rest of the X-Pack. And it's
You'd
something
be competitive.
I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So that actually, you're talking about gearing. It's one thing that I didn't really have in the show notes because I was focused on more of the other technical stuff. But in this expansion, I guess it's always been there. Where there's always been if you PVE, if you do some high rated PVE stuff, you could jump into PvP and be really competitive, if not overpowered. This expansion with some of the changes that they made, it felt like to get the gear because PvP gear with the RNG style and the stat weighting, it almost felt like it was not the best gear by far for most classes, and that you had to do PvE at a fairly high level to get the gear with the stat weights and hopefully Titan forging and a gem slot so that you could have the best of the best in slot for that patch only to PvP. And maybe if you're lucky, get a RNG drop from a chest to be a side grade or maybe an improvement to what you already got from PvE. That's how it seemed like to me from what I felt and then from what I've seen in what other people have said. Do you guys agree with that? Am I off? And if so, what do you guys think? I guess I'm gonna go Astral, since you were talking about gearing. I'm gonna throw it back to you first. How did you feel about the gearing in BFA?
Early on, they had it was like depending, it was like hit or miss with classes. Some had really good itemization on their PvP gear. They have some pieces that weren't so good. And then as like the seasons would go over, it seemed like they would just flip it. They would just throw like random stats on gear. And you could be like one season it'd be full abyss almost. You go to the next season, all your PvP gear is horrible. You have to get complete raid gear. They don't really seem like they know what to put on the gear. They just slap random stats on it.
Yeah, they're swapping it based on the raid content. That's why it's really weird, this expansion.
Really?
Yeah, they swap it based off raid content. So like they'll just change the PvP stats. So like what Astral's saying is so true. Oh my goodness. My shaman in season 1 of BFA had most of the gear for PvP I was all PvP gear with like 7 or 8 sockets. So I had pretty ridiculous gear, and all the stats were good too, because for PvP for male gear it was like haste verse and verse mastery. And then the next season happened, season 2, and I guess because of the raid content they changed the stats, so all the stats for season 2 was like crit haste, which are terrible for me.
Yeah.
So now my gear sucks, and I have to PV all the time. And then even season 3 it's the same as Astral said, it's all PV if I want to get good gear. And
crit's useless anyways in PvP.
Yeah, it's not that good. No. It's not that good.
Unless you're a holy pally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Ash?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it if you're trying to fix it. It's either remove the complexity of all the extra stats on top of just the basic strength, stamina, intellect, right? And go back to the classic version. Or come into modern day where there is all that kind of stuff. Like Absterge was saying, you can pick a class, you can go into, you can get the best gear available, but if it's got the wrong stats, it's absolutely useless. And if there's no way of changing that, then you can essentially pick a new character. I remember in Legion, people would re-roll characters if they got the wrong legendaries because of the luck-based system.
Oh, that soft four artifact cap.
Yeah. Like
or
if they got
legendary cap at the beginning.
If they got the worst legendaries, or if they didn't get the best legendaries for that class, they would re-roll just because of the luck-based system. And I'd like, for me, RNG, it just needs to be removed, like, for good.
When it comes to PvP, RNG is not good.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Or just put it all in Outlaw Road,
There you go.
Yeah.
Andallyn, what do you feel about the gearing system in BFA?
Well, I mean,
for 2019?
I think every point that we've made so far has been really a long point, but I really like the ideas that we've mentioned too, kind of leading to this point with gear, about if we could, by PvPing in the same way that you would in Classic, to be able to, when you got better gear in PvP by playing PvP, and it doesn't, like, the answer is not just PvP benders, done with it. Like, that's an easy band-aid solution, but I think that the answer is finding out why was that successful, how can we make that more successful, like how can we give that in such a way that's going to have these same types of fulfillment aspects that you had along the way. What is it about PvP gearing that is going to be able to be beneficial? And I think there is a happy medium there between what we have now and what Classic has. So I think that this is one of those things that I kind of like. A lot of people disagree and think that I'm dumb for saying this, but it's one of those things that I feel like it's in Blizzard's hands here, and you're just gonna have to hope for the best. At least that's how I feel, and I think that if I know that they take the game seriously. We've spoken with the devs, and I think that this is something that they do care about a lot, and they work more than you and I do, in a lot of times to figure out how to make the game right. It's not something that's easy as much as people would like to say it is. So,
no. All right. Yes. Windsted, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. No. My big thing was that I think Legion. Because I played the last week of Classic right before Burning Crusade came out.
Yep.
And I played every expansion since.
Yep.
And I have to say I enjoyed the stat template process more. And I want to lean into that as far as the gearing goes. I mean, we should be rewarded gear from PvP, in my opinion. And I don't care that the gear wouldn't be best in raid situations. You know, if you can gear out a character and enter heroic raids, that'd be perfect for me. You don't even have to be able to finish, you know, not be geared enough to finish the raid, you know, because if you want to raid, you should get your gear from raiding. But let the PvP gear get you into the door that if somebody were to look at you and go, hey, look, this guy's fully PvP'd out, he's good enough to bring for the first 4 bosses of a heroic raid, you know, let that be the standard. And then, you know, kind of from the earlier conversation we have, it's really let people rearrange their own stat templates. You know, let people reforge. You know, it'd be a great thing to dump marks of honor into. That, hey, you can rearrange your stat template as much as you want, and it just costs you marks of honor. So even if you know, you've got yourself templated out, you got your 10 points or 10% from our earlier part of the conversation, and then you decide, crap, I kind of statted myself wrong. Oh, what do you know? It takes 10 marks of honor to restat myself, and then the next time it takes 20 marks of honor to restat myself. And you know, but getting gear out of PvP so that it is more skill on skill, and that the more PvP you play, the more points you can put into your template. Yeah. And I think that's the fix, because then that allows the characters, allows us players to go, you know what? I'm a rogue. I want crit. You know, I want to come out of my stealth, ambush that guy, and I want to be hitting as hard as possible. You know, and so I want to make sure that I have a high crit % chance so that I just drop that person to half health. And then you have that druid over there going, you know what? I want haste. You know, I want to be able to just have that extra 2 ticks on my nourish every time I cast it. You know, and letting the players choose. You know, and for warlocks, I just want to dump in intellect and crit, you know. Split between those two because I want my chaos bolts to just hit as hard as I can. And it allows them to choose the playstyle that they want.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's something that's contingent on that being successful, though, is having more than one option. Because all too often what happens, and you see the same type of thing with how talents work, is the class itself becomes rather stale. If you just like, well, I have to take Mastery Art. I have to take, you know, Divine Favor. Otherwise, you know, I'm just being masochistic. I'm literally throwing, you know, or something like that.
How much different is that from what the game is now, though? But instead of, you know, because if you wanted to play a Mastery Priest versus a Haste Priest, or a Mastery Druid versus a Haste Druid, I mean, there will always be a best, but what fits your play style? You know, and just giving you that ability to customize.
I think what would help, and maybe on the other one that feels like this, is just reforging now. That's something I actually missed.
Yeah,
I think it kind of, I think there's always, it kind of creates this cookie cutter system, which I feel like is always kind of going to be a thing in WoW, but I don't know. I swear if reforging existed right now, I don't think gearing would be as brutal. Just like when I open my chest and I get a crit haste piece that's 455 socketed, and it's like, oh, this is complete garbage. Let me delete this. Like if I had reforging, I could take the crit, put into more verse, take the haste, put into more verse, whatever the case may be. I feel like that just makes things better. But I don't know.
Just call Ash and he'll disenchant it for you.
Yeah, there you go.
You can have some more strange dust, comrade.
I like reforging. I don't know. I feel like it just makes.
Now
makes
hold on. In the words of somebody I heard once, you think you want it, but
oh yeah, of course.
You know.
Right. So anyway, guys, let's that's a good discussion. So one of the things that just to kind of give you like the full indoctrination into the technically PvP experience, one of the things that's iconic to our show is our final question is always the one thing you would change. So what we do is we want to paint you a little bit of a picture here to give you, you know, imagine that you're sitting here in Blizzard HQ and, you know, Ian Hazzikostas has got you eye locked and he's like, listen, here, I need you to tell me one thing you would change. It doesn't matter how much money it costs. It doesn't matter how mad people are going to get. Like, as long as it's plausible, it's possible. Like, so with that being said, no limits. What is the one thing that you would change? I'll let Winstead start because he's gonna burst from the seams.
I'm politely raising my hand.
Yes.
So the one thing I would change about this past year is definitely the gearing system. I think that's kind of been hammered on a lot, this thing, but I would change it. We need to be able to have more control in the ability of customizing our characters. Bringing back reforging or the stat template with the customizability that we've been talking about a lot. But the gearing, I feel, has just been absolutely horrible for the PvP community, because if you want to be competitive in PvP, you gotta PvE. And that's just not the way I want the game to play.
Okay.
And then I kill Gerissar button in game.
You only get one thing.
Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah, no, I just like to be able to push a button and Gerissar's character to die.
All right. Astral, Surge, you got one?
I can only pick one thing.
Only
You
one.
only get one. That's the
I got
catch.
slapped down for picking two, so I recommend only one.
All right, I'll stick to one. Honestly, there's so many things though. That's difficult. All right, I think just reforging. Honestly, I think that's something that personally would just make me a lot happier if I get a piece of gear that's not just totally useless. So I would rather just have reforging. Out of the many things that I would want, that'd probably be up there in like my top 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I'd pick reforging for sure. I'd like that back in the game.
All right.
Okay, good option. Astral, one of you guys still thinking, or you got
I
one?
know what I know. What I would change the thought process of how they handle RBGs. Whoever it is that's in charge of it. In RBGs, throughout like its existence, they really just do changes on kind of just on how random BGs would be. It'd be like if they affected arena changes, how skirmish was going and not really listening to the pro players. Look at like Seething Shore. It goes on for an hour. It was never tested in a competitive setting. They kind of just threw it out there, even though no one wanted it. They're kind of doing the same very soon with like Deep Wind, but with Seething, it would go for an hour. Everyone would complain. Forums just covered complaints about it, and they removed the timer in the BG, so people would stop complaining about it. The other day, it was a 2-hour Seething Shore. People would form groups, do 1 or 2 games, and disband.
Yep,
Just
that
'cause
sounds
they
like some
hate the map.
classic BG. 2 hours Seething Shore. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Very, very bad design. They need just to remove the map or do a massive overhaul to it. Just all the mechanics and just everything is really, really flawed on that map.
Yeah, or I mean, even how they did with Tiger's Peak, there was a small, very, very like non-consequential. It was, but in some regards wasn't, and they just pulled it out of rotation. Just pull it out of rotation.
You mean when people got feared into the ground?
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally.
I think a way maybe to fix that is to every kill gives you a certain percentage of Azurite power. Azurite that you're gathering.
Could be a
You
possibility.
don't just need to gather the stones, but the game has a natural end with killing the opponent team. So that way, if one side is really dominant, it's over even quicker.
Oh, how the map works now is even like if you're dominating the other team, you're killing them. The graveyard floats around, so it can randomly be on top of the node, and if you jump down and instantly spin it, it's impossible for the other team to get it. You can go 15 minutes without a single node cap, depending on like your RNG. You could beat a amazing top team as a LFG if you're super lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can be unlucky and spawn, and the boat goes into that little nebulous spot where you're considered outside a map.
Yeah, that's great.
That's also. I agree. All right, Ash, you look like you've got it.
Yeah, I'm there.
Patient man.
British, I like to queue. I think it ties into what everyone's been saying, really. I think communication from developers between the player base and developers is probably more an accurate thing. Like, I think the recent thing with the season ending prematurely on New Year's Eve, like I thought they handled that quite well, and the fact that the community communicated very quickly what had happened and then did put out a fix. But it's stuff like this, everything that we're talking about, like, and I know they've tried it in the past where, you know, they brought in the top end PvEers to come in and go, right, what do you want from the game? Like, I think they really need to try that again and have someone that specifically runs that kind of feedback back into Blizzard. And feedback like we've had today as well. And Blizzard can effectively communicate, but I think over the last couple of years, they've not been very good at it. And I think a lot of the issues that we have, and, you know, when we're talking about it in you know, podcasts and forums like this, there's a sense that they're not listening. And if the player base, and especially, you know, the top end players, felt like they had a place to go or someone to go to communicate that to, I think that would be a lot better. And obviously, if it was then heard and then iterations of the game took that feedback in, people would feel a lot better about the game, I think. That would be the one thing I would change. To hire someone to be the Blizzard player base, you know, intermediary kind of thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that'd be impactful. That would be good. So I'm going to take this this last one. I'll let us finish up with Gerissar's. But I would say the one thing that I would change is I always go the guild route because that is probably, but I'm going to go a different route just for conversation points this time. And I don't really know how I actually feel about this, but I'm just I would be volatile today, and I'd say what I would like to do, the one thing I would like to change is I'd like to have a sandbox mode that you could play for Arena, where you just you know, say, all right, I want to queue this game. Obviously it'd be separated off and, you know, whatever, but I want to queue this game as a Destro Lock, or I want to queue this game as an Elemental Shaman, and you could just pick just based on whatever, you know. And if you wanted to say, like, hey, let's go play this comp and try it out. Do we enjoy this comp? Let's go play a couple different comps with me and two other buddies, and then if we like Thug and we're just like, this is so fun, we're loving this, then we can go level a hunter and a rogue, you know. I think that would be the one thing I would change, just to have that little sandbox mode where essentially, if, you know, and if you said, I don't have a lot of time to play right now, I just want to run, you know, 3 to 5 games. You can go run 3 to 5 games.
So you mean like a class trial version for PvP?
Of PvP.
Exactly.
I now understand what you're saying. That would be fun. You know.
Yep.
Oh, it's like a practice, like how League has it. You can just practice whatever hero you want, something like
it's
that.
Practice. It's a lot like PTR, but slightly different.
Well, and you could even throw those players into the rated brackets or into the random skirms. You know that, hey, you're playing a trial account, maybe not rated, but into those
I
random.
think that'd be good for skirms for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
skirms,
let them play in the. Hey, I want to try out a hunter. I've been losing a lot to hunters. I want to see what a hunter does.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't get any credit. You don't get any rewards. It's just a baseline character, and then
That'd be interesting.
Interesting. How are you losing to a hunter though? Sorry, I'm kidding.
Because I'm playing with you.
Oh no!
Ouch.
Shots fired.
That could help people.
Shots fired, yeah.
Yeah, there you can't have a
There's
rebuttal.
a reason we call you the Padawan.
Yeah, I'm Padawan for a reason.
You can't say anything bad back. He has a sword.
No.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
I'm in a very small closet.
Yeah. All right, Gerissar, finish us up, man. What's the one thing you would change?
And I kill button for Windsted.
Oh, that's tempting.
Draw it out, make it painful.
No, there's two, and honestly, I think I understand when we talked with Mr. Day, and he was talking about how they do understand that trinkets are a bit of a problem, and rather than just nerfing them, they looked for an alternative on the PvP side. But I still, looking at what they're doing in the 8.3 gearing and not hearing anything about counter tuning yet in PvP, and just seeing some of that, it feels like they're just putting stuff out and then they're waiting to see what it looks like and actually interacts in the environment before they nerf them or do any changes or implement, you know, another piece of gear on the PvP side to counteract or seem similar, which the iteration process on that is huge. I would prefer that the until they actually put in proper testing to verify something in PvE and PvP, they just take PvP gear and make it 50% less effective in PvE gear and make it 50% less effective in PvP, and then allow, a full breadth of stat availability on the PvP gear rather than this mix match bull crap.
Yep.
You want to come in with your mythic raid gear, 50% less effective. I like that.
Right.
That's why I liked WoD gearing so much.
Mm-hmm.
I liked WoD gearing system. I thought that was a really good system. But how the PvP gear was normal eye level, but then scaled up in arena.
Yeah.
And like rated content or just battlegrounds. But obviously you can't have this full PvP gear and be higher eye level than the PvEers. And then vice versa too. That's why I thought it was cool. And there was a vendor.
And they had
nice.
that.
Yeah, there was a vendor too. It was nice.
And Blizzard's always said that is that they will always have is their design philosophy. They will always have deterministic gear less eye level than RNG gear. So yeah. All right, I think that pretty much covers that. Let's close out the show. We'll talk about what's happened in actual WoW PvP news, and then we'll say our goodbyes. So
take it away.
Pardon me. So in the end of December there, GCD TV decided to throw around a couple tournaments for everybody. So there was the 3v3 Winter Brawl for North America, which happened on the 14th and the 15th. And congratulations to Team Dude, I Don't Care by Zach, Valito, Drake, and Ceralium for taking that one. So kudos to them. And then they had an amazing set of 2v2 tournaments, both NA and EU. So on the NA side, we had the Gosu crew with Goreki and Chun Li taking that one. And over on the EU tournament, right after Christmas, was Pump the Damger with Cervantes and Drainer. So kudos to them. I was really surprised. I thought Cervantes had stopped playing some competitive stuff, but it was nice to see him again over there doing that stuff. Let's see here. Other PvP news. So in the Classic, the paid character transfers went live to help people be able to move away from some of those really overpopulated realms that they wanted, or finally switch over from Alliance to Horde on the realms that were just so overly Horde-centric that they might as well... It was either do that or delete their tunes.
Yeah.
The Classic Warsong Gulch, the queue changes that came into effect there. So if anybody doesn't know what that is, there was a bit of an issue. So to help counter some of the pre-made stuff, they changed it where if you're in the queue and somebody joins your party, your position in the queue is refreshed back to the top rather than staying wherever you were in the queue. So I think that helped a lot of queue jumping. That said, I will say I've seen a lot of chatter for the last month about people being upset with how much is being gained, how much honor is being gained through AV farming, and I would not be surprised if there wouldn't be another change coming soon. So just keep an eye out for that.
I completely guessed wrong on that. I would have bet money that Warsong Gulch was going to be the better honor grind, and no, AV has turned out to be just far superior for honor grind.
I think AV always was. I think it's just the way we used to play it back in the day to how it's being, with lessons learned and how they play it now is by far different.
Well, I mean, mathematically, if it still follows the same rubric that we talked about last time, where your honor gains fall off, the difference of being able to kill 10 people versus 40 people, you're quadrupling the amount of honor that's even possible.
Plus, the games aren't lasting nearly as long.
Right.
No. It's
just
the game's
so much shorter, so
Exactly.
you're able to just grind through all those people.
Yeah. So you used to get AVs that lasted for days, right? And now, what, 10, 15 minutes?
3 and 5 hour AVs.
No,
those are
Best
great.
I saw was 6 minutes.
Wow.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Dang.
A 6 minute classic
There you
AV. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I have heard that there's been some turtles that have existed, and they've even summoned an ice lord and stuff like that. But
It's
that's
toxic.
like it's ones and twos. As
Yeah.
Toxic. So toxic.
Corlock's revenge is over.
yeah,
I
it just
believe.
ended. Just ended this morning.
Did
so
he get
if you
it?
didn't-
So no more leveling through PvP.
No, you can still level through PvP. Just don't get
Well,
that
I
massive boost.
Yeah, no getting from 110 to 120 in 3 hours.
Nope.
Sorry.
That was insane.
I abuse that. I'm happy it's over.
was so
I've done what I
good.
needed
Oh,
to do.
gosh. That was so good.
All right, who else abused the Korak's revenge for leveling tunes? Raise your hand.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
mean,
a half-hand
and
raise.
all of us,
Perhaps.
I now only have 3 tunes, not 120.
Wow.
And the only reason I didn't get them is because they were sub 60. I couldn't get them to 60 fast enough to like do
Get 'em in
Korak's
there.
revenge.
Casual.
I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat. I just
My
was really
wife
good at
was so
leveling.
pissed at me the amount of beating I was doing for Korak's revenge.
Oh no.
She was upset. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That's both awesome and yet kind of scary because I've seen your wife upset.
Yeah,
That's-
you know my wife.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing, obviously 8.3 was announced, and with that, season 4 is going to start soon. So obviously 8.3 is dropping on the 14th, and if I'm not mistaken, a week following on the 21st, season 4 is going to start. So that's going to bring a new PvP season and a new Mythic Plus with the new affix because seasons. And Ash kind of spilled the beans on this one, but in case nobody paid attention, on December 31st, season 3 suddenly went off season for some reason. Nobody explained why. There was a small bug. The upside to that is the
Y2K happened.
The world ended. That's what happened.
It was Iran.
yeah. I ran. Oh my gosh. The
I
one
ran
thing
the
that was,
Y2K.
Yeah.
the one thing that was really cool on this is even though it was off season, they tracked all the honor gains and all the rating changes, and so that was actually captured when they fixed it. So if anybody had any rating changes, when it came through, they changed their rating, which include some new titles and stuff like that.
Great.
The downside is, as far as I understand, they couldn't count any of the games won. So if you needed your 50 wins or whatever to get titles, you would have to still keep doing games to get your wins for that. But
So you still have a week.
Yes. So links for that is all going to be in the show notes, like always. And hopefully everybody is able to get their last little bit of rating push they need to get what they need to do. I guess that's about it. Into the shoutouts. Anybody have any shoutouts? Throw it first. Absterge, do you have any shoutouts you want to give?
Shout outs. Like people or just in general?
Sure, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, whoever.
Shout out WizK, one of my teammates who might be watching. I like that guy. Love him like a brother. There you go. It's my only shout out. For sure.
All right. And Ash, any shout outs for you, man?
Yeah. Alec, Nixie, Asgraf, and Wallerick, thank you, because they took a chance on a brand new org who've never been in the scene before. Yeah, that was massive for us, and obviously allowing us to be a part of it has been great, and we're going to continue for this year. My wife, because she supported me from sitting in front of a computer for 2 years, working on Diablos and all the rest of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Cool.
Much congrats.
That's awesome. Andallyn.
I kind of gave mine at the beginning of the show, but to just all the Warcraft Radio staff here, it's been huge. It's been so easy making this transition, and we've enjoyed it immensely. And so I'm looking forward to all the content that we continue to produce here in our new home. And so, shout out to the Warcraft Radio staff and for all the support and help they've given us so far.
Indeed. And Windsted, do you have any shout outs?
For me, shout outs? No.
No? All right.
I'm
Don't
good.
at all.
Well, shout out to my wife then, because we've started doing. I mean, I'm getting so frustrated with the gearing process that I'm reducing myself to playing PvE again. And she plays a tank, a prop pally, and so last night, and then after we get off here, we're gonna go back in, and I'm gonna try and finish gearing up my discipline priest for some PvP.
All right. Astral.
Yeah, I'd like to do a couple shout outs. Shout out to Chernover X, the top RBG hunter in North America. Shout out to Lanya, my Asian correspondent. That's all.
There you go.
All right.
Short and
Asian
sweet.
correspondent. I'm intrigued by that.
Nice.
VIP.
It's good to have friends like that. All right. And I actually kind of want to do the same as what you did there, Andallyn. Just a huge shout out the Warcraft radio team for Pride for doing all of the assets that we are using now, the new graphics assets. Huge shout out. Great work. And also just the rest of the team welcoming and supporting us and getting us doing what we're doing here. I hope you all enjoy it. And we're going to be looking forward to doing this further in the future. All right. Aster, where can people find you on the internet?
They can go to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Astral. I don't really stream that much. I might start streaming classics. A lot of EVs. Might push for Grand Marshal. Not really sure yet, but there's that.
All right. Cool. I'll make sure I go give you a follow as well. All right. Can't remember who I did next.
Ash, how about you?
Yeah, find me on Twitter, posting random memes and stuff about Diablos at DBL_Ash. Then give Diablos a follow as well, because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up as well. More streamers. We might be announcing some North American teams soon as well.
Ooh.
Maybe. That's at
All right.
Diablos Esports on Twitter. So keep an eye on that. And we've got a new website as well at www.diablos-esports.com.
You heard it here first, folks. Look at that.
Absterge.
You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Stergy, STER.
Oh no, we just lost him.
G.
I think
Yeah, he's frozen.
MLUSE.
I
Yeah,
think
he
he
just
looked at
froze.
Medusa or
That
something.
is
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
that is unfortunate. All right, yeah. So he's at twitter.com/Stergy, STERGEY, and also he streams over at twitch.tv/TheSturge. So, all right. I guess last but not least, guys, can one of you list off where the listeners can reach
Wait,
us?
did I DC? That was so
You
weird.
totally
You're back.
DC.
Okay.
No, I heard everything. I heard the entire
Oh, you-
conversation while I was talking.
You totally
That was really
froze.
weird. That was really weird.
Welcome back.
Oh my goodness.
I got you, bro.
Oh, thank
had
you.
a
There you
beautiful-
go.
You had a beautiful frozen face, though.
I'm sure. I'm very
You can capture
photogenic.
that.
Yeah.
Print it on a pillow. We're set.
Printed on a pillow. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Winstead.
Well.
Off the rails.
So do you want me to tell the guys where they can get a hold of us?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sure. All right. You can tweet the podcast at technically_PVP on Twitter or email us at technicallypvp@gmail.com.
You can also visit our blog for individual contact information at technicallypvp.wordpress.com. And as of lately, too, you can also get more information on our podcast itself and us, myself, Andallyn, Gerissar, and Windsted over at warcraftradio.com.
Indeed. And though technically pvp.wordpress.com is actually going to be shutting down soon. So, but in the meantime, there is some links that push you back over to Warcraft Radio, where our new home is. And if you want to, you can also join our Discord. Well, you can join the Warcraft Radio Discord because that's where we moved everything to. So by all means, check that out. Links are going to be in the show notes. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you guys for joining us. And good night,
Absolute
everybody.
pleasure.
We'll see you next
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Or 8 o'clock Eastern. So hopefully we'll see you next in 2 weeks from now. So Thank you
Good
very
night,
much.
all.
Indeed.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Thank you guys. Take care.